We couldn't help but be amazed by an inspiring young woman who wouldn't give up her art despite the obstacles standing in her way after suffering a major stroke. That was 9 years ago when she was an art education major. After brain surgeries, months in the hospital, and years of rehabilitation, which included relearning how to speak and walk, Stacy Gupton is now a commissioned painter. Stacy and her mother Mona shared their story with Wyoming Signatures producer Steve Costin.
Okay, with the painting, I may not be there yet, but I'm closer than I was yesterday. It kind of represents, you had a straight, nice, tight barbed wire fence your life, and then you have this wham, this thing happen. Now your wire is all strung around and the posts are broken and you need to go and fix your fence, rebuild your life, and get better from whatever traumatic injury you had. I am a Wyoming native, grew up on a Wyoming ranch my whole life, and attended the University of Wyoming, was getting an art degree, and my junior year of college, I suffered a massive stroke, and I was 21 years old, which changed my life dramatically. I was like any other 21-year-old college student, didn't really care much about things, would go out and drink, not in excess, and just have a good time. My life changed dramatically.
When she was unconscious and unable to respond at all, I had to make a decision, a split-second decision, to either do surgery to save her life or to allow her to just go. And I chose the road, not the popular road, but the road that took her to where she is now, about 3 weeks out from her stroke. We were in the Cheyenne hospital, and she could not speak, but she could mouth words, and she was very angry, very, very angry. And I thought that there would come a point when she would realize that she still had a life. It was going to be different. But at that point, she didn't see it that way. And she was very angry with me, very, very angry with me. And she asked me why I had saved her, why I hadn't just let her die. And I had to tell her, because I think you still have a lot left to do. We just felt very strongly as a family that Stacy still had a lot of herself there. And we made a choice that regardless of whether she had an arm that didn't work or a leg that didn't work or needed our help with just life, that we were going to be there for her. And now it's very rewarding to watch her be able to do some things on her own and be as independent as she can be.
I had to have someone help me get dressed and basically everything. It's never a comfortable feeling to be 21 and have to have someone help you in the bathroom. I was extremely frustrated because I couldn't do everything I did before. I couldn't go out rollerblading or snowboarding with friends.
When we were told Stacy would never be able to be an artist, that was just heartbreaking, because it was what she had always wanted to be. And we felt that, given the chance, she could learn how to do it again. And at first, she didn't want to do that. She didn't want to do anything. She just wanted to go home and hide. And she started painting, I think at first out of defiance, and then she started doing it again for pleasure. And she paints differently now. She sees the world differently now. So it's really rewarding to see her be able to have that now in a different way than what she ever thought she would be able to do.
The absolute frustration of not being able to use both arms and the way that people looked at me was very hard. And I think still to this day, even though it's been 9 years, I still have a hard time with people looking at me.
In 2009, Stacy and I published this book. And the front cover is a painting that she did, a self-portrait that she did before her stroke. And we chose it for the front cover, and we chose the title, A Piece of Her Mind, because Stacy was always outspoken, even before her stroke. And afterwards, she would literally tell you whatever she thought at the time. And we talked about the fact that she had lost a piece of her brain, and we chose the title, A Piece of Her Mind, because we thought that would encourage people to read the story and find out a little bit more about what we went through as individuals and as a family when Stacy had her stroke.
This summer, in July, I spent 2 weeks out in Oregon, and I got to go horseback riding for the first time since I was probably 17, and it was one of the most amazing experiences I've had in a long time.
Getting back on the horse.
Yes, getting back on a horse just felt natural. I felt like Stacy again, the old Stacy. I kind of look back at some experiences I had in life when I was young, going out and having to gather cattle, and I just thought that represented almost a loneliness of sometimes seen as the cowboy. So I really thought the idea of this young man by himself out doing what he loved represented a lot of me at one time, being able to just go on your horse and be free. And I did study the skies. I am obsessed with taking photos of skies now and hillsides, the way shadows fall. This one I actually really studied around the Powder River near Sheridan. Another painting of mine is the winter scene when the team of horses are pulling the hay wagon. People still do that. And I never did that when we lived on our ranch, but we had the tractor, we did it that way. But before I was born, my mom and dad did it that way, my grandparents. So I still really liked the idea of the simple way of doing things, maybe. 2 months ago, I purchased a brand new pickup, and with the help of the Agribility on University, from the University of Wyoming, the money that they paid me for doing the calendar went and helped for my pickups. My truck's name is Bart. My big ass red truck. My brother-in-law named it that. My brother-in-law. It was Big Red. So if my niece is around and she's 7, it's just Big Red. Or your grandma. Or my grandma. So it's Big Red around them. Everyone else knows it as Bart.
When a stroke happens, for instance, it doesn't just happen to the stroke survivor. It happens to their entire family. It changes everything that you ever thought was going to be into something new. And someone told me one time that giving up is easy. Anybody can do that. That takes no effort at all. But pushing that person to keep going is really hard, and you have to have a thicker skin than you ever thought you would need to have. I had a professor friend, a retired professor, who told me when Stacy had her stroke, this is going to be the toughest thing you ever did in your life. And she was right.
The painting that was so hard for me to paint, the mountain or the hills with the saddle and the wheelchair, it is the only painting of the calendar that doesn't have any human, animal, any kind of critter in it. I wanted to stay with the sad loneliness, I don't even know where that person would be. I mean, obviously that person needs a wheelchair, but the wheelchair is empty, so maybe there was 2 saddles and he's rode off or she rode off. I wanted it to just however you want to interpret it.
Stacy has other paintings, including one called Scream, on permanent loan to the University of Wyoming Health Sciences. By the way, Stacy, we wish you the best with your new Cowgirl Cadillac, Bart. And we hope you've enjoyed this edition of Wyoming Signatures and can take a lesson from Stacy. Never give up.